So, welcome to the HubFizz Show, where you can get ideas to help you grow your eco-conscious business. And today I'm excited to be joined by Karen Diffey from KSD Coaching, and we're talking about leadership for introverts. So welcome, Karen. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah. So Karen helps ambitious, committed, introverted women in finance and professional services tap into their natural strengths and to become inspiring, authentic and confident leaders within 12 weeks. So she's got a great program we'll tell you more about at the end of the show. She focuses on leadership for introverts, imposter syndrome, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard about, and using your strengths to achieve your potential. So we'll launch straight into the questions. So you work with introverted women in finance and professional services. I'm intrigued. So what drew you to this line of work and this niche sector?
So prior to becoming a leadership coach, I was a finance director, and outwardly I was confident and I put on a great show. But inwardly, I struggled with the self-worth and I really didn't believe in myself. And that led me to be exhausted and overwhelmed and constantly second-guessing my decisions. Perfectionism is an introvert trait, and it went into overdrive. And ultimately, I questioned if I was enough. And I realized that I needed help. But as an introvert, reaching out was extremely difficult. We ultimately think that we should know all the answers and that we should just be able to get on with things and do it all ourselves. But thankfully, I discovered strengths and truly understanding what I'm good at now, and more importantly, believing in what I'm good at, has helped me immensely. And so now, as an accredited coach, I help introverted women leaders discover their strengths so that I can help them to excel in their leadership.
Fantastic. All the things you're saying there, I'm like tick, 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 tick. And we were just talking for the show, and I was like, I always thought an extrovert was someone who was quite sort of outgoing and extrovert, you know, and sort of bubbly and everything like that. But it's a completely different thing that I had in my mind of what is an extrovert and what is an introvert. So what are some of these struggles that you think introverts face then?
So being an introvert can be really challenging, especially in a leadership role. And many struggle with feelings of lower self-worth. We're very good at dismissing compliments in favour of self-doubt. And because we're quiet, we tend to we tend to be underestimated in our ability and overlooked for promotion sometimes. And so that sort of restricts our career progression and possibilities of leadership position.
And I suppose the same could apply to being a business owner as well, isn't it? So
absolutely, because that self-doubt as to whether you're good enough, or whether you're able to serve your clients, all of those conversations go on in our head, and we'll come on to some of those things a little later on, but that negative self-talk plays through so often.
Yeah, definitely. So what is the the outline kind of framework you use when you're working with introverted leaders?
So I use a combination of profiling assessment and coaching. And the profile assessment that I use is called Strength Scope. And using that combination, I help introverted leaders perform at their best. So with that framework, we kind of understand that we're all born with strengths, and some we're aware of and others that need to be brought to life. And when we gain that insight, we're able to use our true strengths to perform at our best. And sometimes our strengths can hinder our performance because they go into overdrive and we overuse them. And sometimes we just don't use them to the best of our ability and advantage. So we need to recognize where we're operating against ourselves and have the tools available to overcome those issues and problems. And it isn't just about focusing on the things that we're already good at. In the work that I do with my clients, it's also about looking at the things that we're not so good at, the things that we identify as our performance risks, and then how we can balance them with our strengths so that we can work to the best of our ability. So I very simply have a 5-step process where we start by looking at setting clear aspirations, and then we build on our strengths through the profiling and the coaching to help build awareness, developing our personal self-awareness. And then we look at how to optimize those strengths that we've learned about and how to take action using them. And then look at how we can be more flexible and ultimately developing a plan so that clients can build momentum for future success.
Brilliant, brilliant. So people have got kind of a clear framework that they can work to. And one of the things you brought up earlier was sort of an introvert, it doesn't always think on their feet, and they kind of take that time to kind of mull over things before giving an answer. And I'm very much like that. I find it really difficult sort of in the moment, sort of like ideas. I've met people like that, and I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. But I go away and then all the ideas start coming.
Absolutely.
And
I think
bit by bit. Yeah.
That's also important for extroverted leaders to understand how to get the best out of their introverted team members. Because if you don't optimize that, you're losing out on so much. Definitely.
And I know, I think I've had situations in work and in employment, when I've been in that situation, and because I couldn't do it there and then, and the ideas came after, it was just kind of swept aside a lot, and it was like, oh well, it's too late now. So I think that's really important to bring up. There are a couple of tips you can share with us that help introverts, and also I know you deal a lot with imposter syndrome, which kind of all fits into this, to overcome some struggles they may face.
Yeah, I think simplicity is key. Obviously, working with a coach helps you to deeper dive into these things, but perhaps learn how to address negative self-talk, the things that's going on in our own heads, and reframe that into something more positive. And almost like talking to your best friend. Would you talk to yourself the way that you would talk to a friend or a colleague? Probably not. And also look for evidence that supports your negative self-talk. And I bet your bottom dollar, it's rarely ever there.
That's really, really good advice, isn't it? You just stand in front of a mirror, give yourself a good talking to.
Absolutely.
Yes, and lastly, what I'd like to know, what would you give us as your kind of top eco tip?
So as an introvert, I love a process, and I even do this with my food shopping. So I have a meal plan, and it means that I have a really good shopping list. This reduces food waste. It means that I don't buy unnecessary packaging, and ultimately it's good for the pocket too, because it means that I'm not overspending on things that I don't need. It also helps me to be more productive because I don't waste time in the supermarket or shops, wherever I am. And it means that I don't have to overthink. I don't have to think about what the next meal is because it's all planned. It's all good to go.
That's brilliant. And then that can tie into your business too when you're doing social media posts, isn't it? When you're trying to think of something on the day, it's really hard. Whereas if you've planned in advance, it makes everything a lot easier. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I know you've got a couple of freebies on your website, and you've also doing your coaching program, and your 12-week one in particular is one of your kind of flagship ones. And these people can find, is it ksdcoach.com/services?
Yes.
Is that correct? Brilliant. Okay. Well, we've come to the end of the show. So thank you so much for joining us, and such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really
Shared
amazing.
great,
Thank you,
yeah,
Karen.
it's been brilliant. She had some great insights and tips there. For anyone who's watching, if you're watching the live now or you're watching the replay later, please keep your comments and questions coming. Both Karen and I, the two Karens, we will be on there answering your questions and helping you out. And I'm sure Karen's got lots of insights, more insights to share with you. So thank you once again, and we'll see you same time next week. Goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.